Let's see. Well, we're not going to be able to make the 2014 election. We're not going to get that majority in the Senate by action here in Ohio. But our donations and volunteers to other states may. So, you may.
I was in South Carolina for the South Carolina Tea Party, and they are bent on getting rid of Lindsey Graham. All right, they have four excellent candidates down in South Carolina. If I would go online, get behind a candidate if you can. I was able to hear all four of them speak during a debate. I have my favorite. I'm not going to taint you. But Lindsey Graham is under 50%. And in South Carolina, if you don't get 50%, there's a runoff. They are guaranteed. If they get Lindsey Graham into a runoff, he is gone. So, and these people, all four of them, are solid conservatives. I'd love to have any one of them here in the state of Ohio. North Carolina, I believe there's a little bit of a primary. I think there's 2 people running there. Georgia, there's a 5-person primary. We just got to get the right candidate to go in and change this. It's not only the Democrats, we got to get rid of some of these Republicans in primaries. Then these primaries are over come June, and then the general's up in November, and we have all summer long to help any candidate you would want. And you got the internet, and I can guarantee you these guys are going to have phone banks. I already spoke to the people in South Carolina that they're going to get their phone banks up in the spring, and I'll send Jim all that information and he can pass that out.
Sounds great. I understand they got a Senate running scared in Colorado too, where I come from, which is cool. Who's up for re-election in Georgia?
I believe Chambliss is retiring.
I never cared that much for him.
No, that's why we want to get a conservative there, so there's a primary. There's 5 candidates, though.
Okay. Yes.
Jim, we have a senator in Ohio that has to go also. And I think some inroad can be made if we get the word out that when he was Secretary of State in Ohio, that he presented a proclamation of commendation to the leading communist leader in the state of Ohio. Does that tell you where he stands? But nobody talks about that. We need to start talking about those kind of things against Mr. Brown.
No. Okay. All right. Priorities. Well, it kind of surprised me, but the way it came out in the weighting score was that our top priority for the year was Common Core, which is, well, it's kind of a national issue. Federal government trying to take our authority to dictate our own content, educational content, and essentially get rid of the local control and parental authority thing. And I was really surprised at how far above the others they were. Mostly you can see that we're just talking about points or percents of a point, but it was a good 15 points ahead the number 2, which was Obamacare. Okay, Obamacare, our responsibility there is pretty much just continuing to get the word out, talking to our neighbors and our friends and our co-workers, etc. Common Core, that's rife with action. That's something we can really get into with our state legislators, and it sounds like it's not all an easy fight if there's federal money in it, and if it's a program that local bureaucrats just have to do. Doesn't require any thinking or work on their part. It's just, you know, doing what's already laid out and the money paid for. So there's a little bit of a fight there, and I think that's a good one. Radical Islam and terror. I think that one's another one where we probably need to start talking this up to more people. Maybe not, maybe everybody's just becoming aware what's going on in the Middle East, and we all know that we just don't have the bandwidth to deal with it. Gun control, I think that's higher than it would normally be, just because we know what Obama would really like to do. I mean, this guy is not a Hitler who would put out his troops and meet us on the streets for a firefight. He's a community organizer. He runs and hides from conflict. Thank goodness.
Jim.
But there's always that question, so Senate Majority Control, number 5, that's still pretty high. It will remain so. Like I say, we're going to become enablers from afar to other states. So pick a state, pick a candidate for 2014, and let's figure out how we get the right people elected to have a Republican, better yet, a conservative U.S. Senate. National defense remains up there. Getting debt down, well, I guess that defines most of us as Republicans, because most polling I've heard indicate debt is a primary concern to Republicans, but not to independents or Democrats. K-12 content, again, amnesty is down, and it's going to drop way down. Millennials, Medicaid expansion. Millennials is another work effort to do more recruiting. And on that mention, one of the comments we got, suggestions, several of them were about how people can't make it here on Saturday morning, or it's just a little bit too early in the day for them, etc. They mentioned that we probably find it easier to get millennials during weeknights, and suggest that we, instead of having 2 Saturdays a month, we have 1 Saturday and perhaps 1 weeknight per month, just to capture the, give an opportunity to get more millennials and younger people in. So, yes, Homer.
Jim, we have the president, vice president of our Medina County Tires Group here.
Right.
Let's ask them their opinion on that.
Your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, if you really, okay. Honestly, to appeal to a younger crowd, probably 8:30 in the morning meetings are not the best idea. On Saturday morning. The thing with the, if having meetings in the evening, especially if you do want to appeal to a young, like our generation, definitely it would be all about the advertisement of it, and kind of advertising what, because teenagers are all about what they can get out of something, honestly. So what if we can advertise what a younger generation would be able to get out of coming to the meetings? I think that would make it more successful.
Yeah, and in regards to that, with like school and stuff like that as well, a weeknight could be plausible, but like with school and after school sports, sometimes teenagers have trouble coming to those things, like we see with our TARS meetings. We have them, once a month, but even sometimes a lot of kids email us saying they have like a text the next day, or a test, or an event going on that they can't make it. So perhaps even like during a weekend, like in the early evening on like a Saturday, could even be plausible. I mean, I know people have stuff going on, but I mean, it might also be, it's also an option that way as well, because sometimes weekdays are hard for people. Just a suggestion.
Okay, great.
And probably free food.
Yeah.
That always helps.
Free food works every time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, Medicaid expansion. I'm still annoyed about that Medicaid expansion. When I've got a governor in my own party, and I've got a Senate in my party, and a House in my party, I don't expect to lose to a socialist issue. And I don't lose. Well, it's something in my military background, I think, right? We just don't stop. Don't give up.
Hey,
So,
Jim, is everyone aware that the governor is coming here to the county with his State of the State roadshow?
Yes.
Do we care?
What day is that?
24th, and I'm not sure what.
Is that February?
Tuesday or something.
You know, it's funny, you always want to be careful when you criticize the governor, right? But talking to a couple representatives early on, the first time he did this was Steubenville. And I wanted to write something about it then. And I thought, well, I'll hold my fire. But then last year, I thought, well, maybe it's just a one-time deal. Last year he did it again. And one of the things with our group and other folks is we like to go to the state address to hear what the governors are saying and to break it down as to what their agenda is. That's very important. And this thing about taking it on the road, I wrote a piece, and maybe some of you saw it last year. I was respectful to the governor, but I basically said that it was making it inconvenient for those legislators. I mean, the reason why we have Columbus as our capital and the State House in which we put much treasure and finance into is so that the legislature can conveniently meet there for and the State of the State is a very important address that he's constitutionally bound to address the people of the state of Ohio and the legislature, which is the representatives of the people of Ohio. It's not to be a campaign ploy. Anybody say amen?
Amen.
So I did put a piece out about that, and then a legislator that shall go unnamed gave me a little piece from the Declaration of Independence that I included, which was very helpful. You know, the King of England holding assemblies in inconvenient places. We put that line in there, it was very helpful. But again, respectfully, I said, Governor, we want to hear what you have to say. These are important issues, but we want to hear it from the Ohio State House. I ended it with that. I didn't hear much from the governor's folks on it, except for Jay Shabria said, well, we just wondered what you were talking about there. We all thought it was a little loopy or something, but I don't really care what they think. There were some legislators behind the scenes, though, these men and ladies. Look, serving our state, it takes them away from their families. And I know legislators who want to be home every night, and that takes a great deal to do that, and to be with a family. When you hold it, way out there in western Ohio, somebody in southeast Ohio or eastern Ohio, you got to stay overnight. It's another night away from the family. So there's a number of reasons why that's just not a great idea. I mean, if the governor wants to take, I'm all for it going on around the state, meet with the folks, tell us what you're thinking, have some feedback. But I just think the State of the State ought to be held at the Ohio State House. I mean, that's why we pay our taxes to upkeep that building, right? And it has all the facilities to make sure that the media, the audio, the transcripts, the records can all be easily accessed, the laws as to what he's proposing. So, not so much a fan. So here we go. Now it's in our own backyard. So I don't know if I'm going, to hold true to our statement from last year, but just want to know what some of you think about that.
Well, I think it's amusing how tightly controlled the audience is. Imagine that, right?
Somewhat irritating too, Jim, is the fact that, okay, he's bringing it to Medina, so you're assuming he wants people in Medina and surrounding areas to be in attendance.
Right.
So we're going to have a statewide lottery.
Mhm.
I've heard one comment made by the Republican Party contributor out of the state of Cuyahoga County. I said that purposely, the state of Cuyahoga County. Says if I don't get to sit at the table with the governor and so forth, money may stop.
Really? Well, next time the governor comes for one of his unadvertised visits to Medina County, I hope I'll be in touch to get his number because he can sit at the table instead of me.
Well, the last one they had, you recall, there were more people from Summit County and Lorraine County than there were from Medina County invited to.
Mhm.
So we're, folks, we got work to do within our own party.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if that's within the party or within the governor's head,
Well,
because,
other party.
yeah, we've got this lottery thing going on. I mean, what was it? It's the smaller venue, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it holds, what was it? Is it about a little over 1,000?
Yeah.
Between 11 and 1,200 people.
Yeah, I
Right,
think it was, yeah, it was just a little above 1,000.
right. So,
People who donate to this campaign are gonna go, right?
well, I'm not quite sure. The House, the Senate, all the agency heads, you know, the government
Right.
brass itself. And then there would be a few seats left over for people on the lottery. And we don't know who's on the lottery so far.
So it's a closed lottery.
It's a closed lottery. And
That's not a lottery.
it's not a lottery of chance. Put it that way. Sounds like it's a lottery of bank account,
Yeah, that's what it is.
but we don't know for sure.
You will find out the
I mean-
day of.
I'm only on the state central committee. Why would I know this kind of stuff, right? I'm only dealing with the county chairman
Right,
in whose county this is happening.
that's correct.
So why would we know this kind of stuff?
Okay, I get your sarcasm.
Mhm.
I understand.
Right. It's kind of like that last time, hey, John Case is gonna be here for lunch, can we do what? Yeah. Can you join him for lunch? Yeah. Hey, he didn't pay the tab. Right. So, I think we're digressing here a little bit, but, yes, we do have that Kasich event coming in. And so far, nobody knows who's going, which seems passing strange.
But to satisfy those of us who may not get drawn in the lottery,
Right.
there's going to be a webcast of it from San Souso's
Right,
with Lieutenant Governor
Barry Taylor, right?
broadcasting that, so that can smooth the feathers of any local people who may not get. But you gotta be there early, because that's the one to see.
Well, Santos Suso's, or however you pronounce it, it's a small Italian restaurant, great food. Kasich loves it. They got a small back room for about 30, 40 people. And a front room, 30, 40 people. Well, actually, that might be about the right number of people in Medina County that care.
I find it interesting, this webcast is gonna be nice.
Mhm. Webcast National?
Really?
The information I got said.
Huh, interesting. All right, well, we're running a little long here.
Yes.
Okay, energy independence, we need to keep hollering about the Keystone Pipeline on that. And jobs, medium bias questions, since we're running a little long, I'll come back to that. Couple of legislative bills coming up. House Bill 203 eliminates the requirement of retreat when you're under attack by a felon or something like that. I think John Becker is. I'm not sure, because most of the bills he's sponsoring are election reform. But I know the concealed carry, the CCW of Ohio. Lisa?
Yeah, citizens, is it, yeah, CCW.
CCW of Ohio is promoting that one. Ohio Senate Bill 228 is the one that reduces the authority of the controlling board to make adjustments to the state budget. And I'd like to see that one passed by the House. It may just be symbolic, or it might actually stop Kasich from doing more shenanigans in the future. Hmm? Yeah. Well, at least he's not president, taking dictatorial action. But at any rate, I kind of like to applaud our senators for being gutsy. You know, a lot of people wouldn't have done that because it kind of puts them in the crosshairs for challenging the governor. All right, that's it. So let's go back here. Do we have any further questions and comments? We're running a little long. We don't
I just
have-
wondered if you could flip back the screen to the items not addressed, just so I could catch the 3 or 4 that I missed.
Oh, all right, sure. Yeah, we didn't know quite what their status was. At one time, I think there was kind of a gentleman's understanding that the right to work would not be on the ballot in 2014. Well, the Kasich and the other elected officials thought it would be detrimental to have it on there this year.
So we think we put it on 2016, then we got run a presidential election. And we think it was beneficial then. I mean, every election is not going to be beneficial. Right. You have to choose one and do it, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of ironic that if we had known in advance what would happen with Medicaid